Welcome to solverfy.
For this question, we are looking at different types of traits, and namely, we are trying to figure out what an adaptation is. So to start off, when we talk about traits, there are two ways to categorize them. There can be qualities or behaviors that an organism is born with, and there are qualities and traits that organisms learn or pick up over time. For these born traits, these are going to be tendencies or actions that are heritable, and an organism is born knowing to do. For example, geese have a trait where they're going to tend their eggs in a certain fashion. When one of the eggs rolls out of the nest, they're going to instinctively move towards that egg and push it back into the nest. This is advantageous to the organism because it increases the chance that their genetics are going to be passed on to their offspring. So this could be considered an advantage for the reproducibility of the organism. This is different from learned traits, which are picked up from watching another organism or from learning there's an advantage to acting a certain way. The reason this geese application is a more born trait is because they're not watching their parent roll eggs back into the nest or watching another organism do it. So here, an example of a learned behavior or trait is going to be the way a dog acts when stimulated with food. So say you feed a dog every day at around 6 p.m. Eventually, that dog will learn that as the sun goes down and it gets closer to that time, it's going to be time for food. And that's a learned behavior. You might see them get more excited. You might see them start to salivate more around that time. And this is something that was brought on by a certain stimulus, an advantage they learned. So going on with how these two qualities of traits are different, we can now look at the adaptation. Adaptations are going to describe these traits that organisms are born with and are heritable. We also use the term adaptation to refer to something an organism is doing. Because if we were referring to a trait of a population, such as say herd behavior, we would call it a population behavior instead. So it's important to note that these two are different. So here, knowing that an adaptation describes these born or heritable traits and that they're going to define something an organism does, either a quality or an action, the best answer choice here is to pick B. That our adaptations are going to describe heritable traits that increase the organism's abilities to reproduce and survive.